This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Solo con tu pareja from 1991, directed by Alfonso Cuaron. RJ, no tagline for this film, but a synopsis.
Okay.
You ready for this? Tomas is a young yuppie playboy with a string of discarded girlfriends. But when Sylvia, the victim of one of his adventures, tries to get revenge by typing positive on his AIDS test, Tomas experiences for the first time the realities of love and death.
Okay.
So, this is a movie. We discussed at the top of our episode here how this episode almost didn't happen because this movie isn't on the Criterion channel. Took a little bit of Google magic to locate it on YouTube without subtitles or closed captioning. Managed to locate those. The alternative at one point was having to wait a week. Maybe it had been maybe even in my mind skip a week or
Sure.
Think about this now. Laserdisc episode, boom, out of nowhere.
No, I think a skip. I think
Karate chop.
We haven't done a skip week in a month or two, so
we're overdue.
Yeah, I think it needs to be every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah, skip week.
Go bi-weekly.
Bi-friendly, some would say.
I see.
Yeah.
But because of my skills paying the bills, this episode's happening now, and I'm sure RJ is thrilled to be doing here because I know that you're a big Alfonso Cuaron fan. Love that
Alfonso
guy.
Cuaron. You know who the cinematographer was on this bad boy?
His cinematographer,
Manuel Lubezki. Man, he's pretty good.
Yep.
He's pretty good, pretty terrific.
The kids love him. They love that Birdman.
Yep.
They love that Revenant. They love Burn After Reading.
They love it. They love it. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? So yeah, a lot of big heavy hitters in this. Did you know this was at one point in Mexico's top 10 films of all time?
Is it not there anymore?
I didn't look that far into it. I just know that at one point it was.
Okay.
I think that was I don't know. I didn't look into this movie at all. Maybe it was just on the page where I went to log the movie.
Okay.
I saw that somewhere.
Where does Daniel Jimenez Cacho rank?
Daniel Jimenez Cacho?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the star actor from Y Tu Mama Tambien? Jimenez? I think his best performance is in Get the Gringo, the Mel Gibson movie.
Whoa. Wait, I'm looking at his list, and actually there's a few he's got a few movies that are significant, including the very recent movie Memoria. I know I saw people losing their shit over.
I feel like you really skirted over Get the Gringo.
Well, that's at 7. No, it's not above Kronos and
Kronos,
Zama, Bad Education, and everyone's favorite What tu Mama Tambien.
What about
Y Tu Mama Tambien?
Y Tu Mama Tambien?
No.
Yeah, you got to learn how to say the Spanish here, Jarrett. Let me hit you. Solo con tu pareja.
PAREJO.
Pareja. That's how you say this.
Cool. Nice.
Pareja.
See, this movie I didn't know anything about, and I just assumed it was going to be on the channel. It was not, and I went, oh, damn. Is this orderable on Amazon? Not really. I mean, without paying the price. Tax price.
Taxes. The thing with the hands.
And so I didn't even really read what this was about. And then I saw RJ log this before me, and I went, "Oh boy!"
Why did you shouldn't read my reviews before you watch the movie yourself?
Why? You don't leave them then.
For no biases, but I have to document my my stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you mean, oh boy, based on my review?
Well, I was like, it's gonna be that kind of picture, is it? I got that because it's multifaceted. Because it's not only do I have to watch this movie, but I'm gonna have to relive this movie with RJ. And what are his feelings going to be about this? That's sometimes the ordeal of Like, all right, solo con tu pareja. Let's see what you got. Let's see what kind of movie you are. So this is a 94-minute movie that I was kind of excited about. I was like, oh shit, 94 minutes. I like it. I like it a lot. It's a 1991 film. And then I learned it was a comedy. I went, uh-oh, it's a Mexican comedy. Uh-oh. By Alfonso Cuaron. I'm like, well, that guy's directed some decent flicks. But I don't know if he had hit his stride yet at this point. We're going to find out.
We'll see.
So anyway, I'm trying to remember how this movie actually opens up. He's plowing abroad.
That is how it opens.
Those are his words. He's just pounding away on her on basically a mattress on the floor. And then she starts saying, "Hey, get the condoms." And he's like, "What? I can't hear you." She's like, "No, can you get the condoms?" He's like, "Condoms?" And he's just like, "What? I'm going to finish here." And she's like, "Oh, you're so good at your cocksmanship." That's not dialogue. Is
that verbatim?
That's the gist. That's the gist of the scene, I guess. But you're like, "Whoa, I know a thing or two. I think in this world," and I go, "I don't know. That seems to be a violation of consent here." For laughs.
What was the thing that you said she said though?
Your cocksmanship.
Oh, okay. Is that consensual or no?
Well, I mean, I believe there's an expression that's come up here and there about working through the no.
Oh, that's a Criterion thing.
Yeah, that's the John Criterion thing. It's in the John Criterion's Guide to Life. Winning and losing.
That's his coffee table book, right?
Well, it's small. It's like a bathroom reader. He's got factoids about movie trivia and like kind of life advice. Very popular with your kind of people, your hashtag people, we'll call them.
Hashtag people? Which people would those be?
Well, we know the ones we're talking about here, RJ.
Oh, I see.
The one's looking for advice, sagely advice from old weird men.
I see.
Who'll tell you how to clean your room and such.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so this is how this movie opens up, and you're like, "Whoa, this is gonna be a rip roaring hilarious time," I think.
And was it?
Well, Thomas is a ad writer. He lives in an apartment building. When he's not plowing broads, he goes to get the newspaper in the morning, and this involves his ritual. Is he goes out onto like this landing of this like 5-floor apartment. He literally disrobes, only wearing his running shoes, and he runs naked down the steps as quickly and grabs the paper at the bottom of the foyer. Does like a little circle, couple dances, couple little secret raps, and then he runs right back up. And I guess this idea is like, oh, he's living on the edge. It's like this is actually some what I would consider some deviant behavior.
Yeah, I forgot to take it, but this falls under the sex criminal.
Yeah. There's a couple of those committed by our protagonist.
Especially because at some point it is definitely like it is actually sex crime because he is exposing himself to minors.
Accidentally, because that's the funny part. But I'm like, wait a minute. He created this situation. It's of his own making. He wants the risk. Like this guy's totally could be convicted of this.
He says it wasn't my fault. I was getting the paper.
Zany.
He said, "Why were you naked?" And he said, "Because I like to be. It's not my fault that kid looked at it." And then you go,
That's a great defense.
I think that's the defense he would have taken, right?
I think probably. And big laughs says the poster.
Big laughs.
So anyways, he gets his newspaper. So this guy writes copy for advertising, and he's a layabout. He pretends he's sick all the time. I don't understand this thing where he takes his thermometer and puts it up against the light bulb to give himself a temperature, but it's like, well, no one's looking at it. Like, no one's going to come and look.
Nobody's checking it.
So why is he doing this?
I think it's to show that he's zany.
Right, it's a gag, and everybody knows that he does it because every time he's on the phone call saying, "I can't do that, I'm sick." It's like, what? You need to replace a new light bulb? They all know he does it.
Yeah, I
mean, I'm like, okay, that's something.
Yeah, I thought that was. I mean, I didn't really. I didn't try to overthink it. I was just like, okay. I was like, I guess that's what it is. Okay.
Right. So he is, when he's not slaying, he's laying around, not doing anything.
He's doing what?
Slaying.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got his best friend is the doctor who lives down the hall in his apartment complex. They seem to like entertain him, and I don't know, he has access to their apartment because I guess like he probably house sits every once in a while, you know, and he brings over women, I guess, sometimes to his place, which becomes a coincidence because how does it go? He has a doctor's appointment with his doctor, and while he's there, he's being challenged by the doctor's current nurse. And she's like, he's not such a big deal. He doesn't seem like he's that much of a womanizer. I don't see what's so special. So I guess she's enticed by this energy, even though she's trying to be dismissive. It's a thing.
I like that. It's also like he's there getting tested for AIDS, right?
Well, I think he's being tested there for general health stuff, and the doctor's like, hey, we're gonna give you a whole round of testing for everything. Because we know how you are.
Okay. Well, I'm like, the way I took it too is like,
because the doctor specifically calls for that test.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I don't think he's there for that. He's just talking about like, oh, there's all these things. Like he's trying to find. I guess he's trying to find things that are wrong with him, so he can get out of doing work but still get paid.
Yeah, I think so.
And so this doctor's like humoring him, but also being like, hey, you should change your lifestyle, bud. Me and my wife like you for reasons.
Yeah. I thought it was, I know he's getting tested for all that stuff, but I know that the nurse too is like, I heard you're a real horn dog. And he's like, want to see?
And she's also like, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, he's like being tested for this like whole thing. It's like, we're gonna test you for a ton of STIs also, and he's like, all right.
Yeah. And then she's like, well, I'm not gonna be gentle on you. I'm gonna roughly take your blood because that's my kink.
What's yours?
Solo con tu pareja is my kink.
PAREJO?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, he's gonna have a date. He's gonna have a hot date with the nurse. Back at his place, but of course, what timing? His boss that he's been ducking, who he's also banging, she wants to make a booty call and get this ad copy, and she's not going to take no for an answer. So she shows up. Of course, he tells her that he's in the apartment across the way, the doctor who's away, and now he's going to have to do a little bit of that like screwball comedying, put emphasis on the screw. And bounce between these two ladies on either side of the apartment, which is going to involve some hijinks with bathroom windows and pretending that he's got like bowel issues. But RJ, not only this, there's an apartment in between the two apartments, and as he's walking around the ledge each time, he falls in love. He gazes upon the most beautiful woman he's ever seen, a flight attendant or a stewardess that moved in recently with her fiance, who's a pilot, and he gazes upon her creepily. Again, another offense, I think, in the whole penal code of many countries. And hilarious. I mean, again, I don't think we're supposed to be rooting for this guy, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, someone wrote this film for some reason of being like, this guy, he's such an asshole. People love it. People like RJ. People like cats. People watch shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Dennis. This is basically a movie about Dennis Reynolds.
I mean, yeah, this guy is more playful and at times, but yeah, I don't know what the intent is with this guy.
Okay.
And you know what I mean.
So anyway, this shit goes on forever. Him going back.
It's a solid 15.
It felt this 94 minutes. RJ felt really long.
Yep.
It felt real long because there's not a lot of like progression. So anyways, he's like, there's like these things where it's like, oh, he starts fucking the nurse, and then he's like, I gotta go back to my boss. Oh, just hold that for a second. And she's not getting what she wants, and he's not finishing either. And he goes over, and then the boss jumps his bones, and then he like sneaks away and sleeps with the other one, saying, "Oh, wait till tomorrow," because he's depleted RJ from all that boning. And he wakes up, and just before she can take what she wants, he's like, "Oh, I gotta get back to the other one, oh boy!" And they go back and forth, and now she's mad because she feels like she's been stood up. And what was the point of me coming over here if I wasn't going to find out the real you in terms of sex? And then, of course, he goes back over to where his boss is, and then the doctor and his wife come home early, and they find his boss in there, and she's pissed off about it. And then the doctor starts telling his employee about what his goofy, crazy friend did the other night, not realizing that the nurse was the other end of this exchange. And so now she's like, "Oh, that was what's going on," and now she's pissed. So she makes phone calls, and the boss fires the guy, so now he's got no job. But that doesn't seem to be, financial stuff doesn't seem to be an issue in this film. People just do whatever they want. They pick up baked goods, and then they shit in jars whenever they want.
They do what?
They shit in jars. Remember, here's my fecal samples.
Oh yes. That there's set up to that.
Yeah.
So here's your jars. You got to do some fecal sampling.
Yeah, that is right. And make sure you boil them first. We're not doing that for you here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta boil them?
Yeah, you gotta boil those jars. Make sure they're nice and disinfected.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you have to take care of that.
I didn't know.
That will be the next step in Kenny's, Alberta.
Well, the little time that there is of it left.
It feels like it just keeps going, despite the fact that it shouldn't be. Yeah. Anyways, so a woman scorned as this nurse decides to go for the doctor's thing. She gives the actual results of the test, which is that Tomas is HIV negative, but she says on his, it's going to go to him as a letter positive to get revenge on him. It takes quite a while for this letter to find it to him. And this is, of course, at this point, he's begun now courting the next door neighbor, and he's obsessed with her, in love with her, and he wants to change his whole life for her. And it's like it's all comedic, RJ, very hilarious, because he meets her, he tries to give her baked goods, and then, of course, when he goes to the hospital to give the hospital his jars of shit, it turns out he still has the desserts, and he looks up at the plane, and it's like they never follow up on this. He's given someone jars of shit, which I thought is probably the funniest thing in this. It's just this jars of shit and no payoff. There's no, I don't know, that is the payoff, I guess, but at the same time I'm like, oh, that's it, and it's all just downhill from there. Yep. Or the movie jumps off a ledge.
Well, not quite yet.
Yeah. So there's this ongoing gag about everyone being really concerned about this news story coming out of America of a woman who's microwaved her dog. Thinking it would dry it off her dog. And this is a thing that everybody knows, and they keep going back to it because that's comedy.
Sure.
But it does tie into the story. So it is like Chekhov's microwave, where eventually, when the news does come to Tomas that he's got AIDS big time, he's despondent. He's like, I got to kill myself.
How much does he have it?
Big time.
Okay.
He's gonna end his life because it's over. He doesn't want to live. He doesn't want to live the rest of his days.
There's a scene beforehand where he's taking out those Japanese gentlemen to the bar.
Oh yeah, and the Japanese characters.
And the only reason I bring it up is because it's pivotal to his character development, where he says broads. He says, "I just can't get enough of broads, man," because he's talking to these people who don't understand me. And he says, I don't know what it is. I just can't get enough of the broads. Even when I have more than one at once, I just can't get enough broads. And you go, we get it. We understand. You're horny.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one of the times also before he finds out, when the film's still a laugh riot, it seems like things are a little discombobulated because now he's trying to court someone that he likes. Mm-hmm. He's really into because he can't have her because she's so angelic. She's such a Madonna, you know. And of course, he does his like running down the stairs thing where he runs down there, but he locks himself out, and then all these like women and children start coming out of their rooms that they all live in, and he's a sex pest, and he's like, "Whoa, that's embarrassing." And you go, ha ha ha.
They go, hilarious.
Big laughs.
He got us.
So, anyways, yeah, he's decided he's going to kill himself.
Yep.
And he's going to microwave. He's going to use this microwave to do it. He's going to put his head in it and start it up. And there's like ongoing gag where he's calling the pager company for his friend doctor to let him know that I'm going to kill myself and I'm going to leave the door open so you can find me. And of course, his doctor friend is at this party with the Japanese businessmen. Doctors or whatever. They're not businessmen. They are doctors, I guess. But they're partying it up, yucking it up, having a good old time. They're talking about Harry Kiri. And...
Well, he says he's going to do it. And it's the only thing the guy recognizes because he's like, Harry Kiri? And the guy's like, no, don't.
Because he was a kamikaze pilot?
Yeah. He's like, don't. It's kind of like that Curb Your Enthusiasm. When Larry meets the kamikaze pilot, and Larry's like, well, if he did his job, he wouldn't be here. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, that's funny.
See, that's funny. But yeah, I just brought that up because it's the reason he wants to kill himself is because he loves broads so much.
He's like, I've been raw dogging this whole time.
Yeah, and he just says
that's the simplest pleasure I have.
Yep. He says he said if I can't keep boning these bitches, that's a verbatim quote.
That's I think that's some editorializing.
No, I think I had different subtitles.
RJ's preferred verbiage.
No, that was in the copy that I had. Jarrett sent me a copy. So whatever copy you sent me, that was the one I had. Okay. Yeah, I checked that out, and that's what he said. And he said if I can't do that, then I'm not gonna live at all. And so he's like, I'm gonna kill myself. And then girlfriend next door, she's having some problems too, Jared.
Well, not yet though. She doesn't know she has problems yet because she happens to come back and sees the door open and sees this guy trying to kill himself. And she's like, oh well, can you help me get into my apartment because I forgot my keys. My fiance's away. And he's like, yeah, sure, I can do that. I'll walk out on the ledge for you and break into your place. And then of course he does that, and what does he find inside the apartment? He sees the fiance banging another broads. RJ, men are disgusting.
Well, I mean, not me.
And so of course he sees this, and then he takes the key. He goes out. It's like, hey, here's the key, but for your own good, you shouldn't go in there. And she's like, oh, I'm sure it's like a mess. And then she goes in, and then she's heartbroken. And she comes in, she's like, I'm so sad too. I'm going to kill myself. We should microwave ourselves together. And he's like, yeah, sounds like that's a great idea. But then they're like, no, let's not do that. Let's jump off the Latin American International Building. Tower. Yeah. And so then the more messages are left for the doctor's paging company. He's becoming more irate with these ridiculous messages, and who keeps feeding them to the doctor. And of course, he finds out because finally the nurse who's at this shindig admits, "Oh, hey, yeah, I told your patient that told him he has AIDS," and everyone thinks that's hilarious. Because the guy's such a cat. He's like, he's going to be so depressed. Oh,
he's going to kill himself.
Well, then when they find that out, they also laugh about it. And they go, no, probably should do something about it. Oh, I feel really bad about it. And then there's like car chase, like not quite a car chase, but like a race to save the day or a race to kill yourself. All climaxes on top of a building. And there's some boning.
There's
goes on. Top of the world boning,
Okay.
Yeah, remember that?
And
it just like it seems to be just continually driving home. It's like, man, this guy, he's just like the greatest lover that's ever been.
That is what he says.
And the day is saved, basically, and it kind of just ends.
Everyone has a good laugh. Everyone goes home.
No one kills themselves.
Not that we saw.
Reconciliation. Then creepy Tomas is like on the plane looking at his flight attendant girlfriend now and just like staring at her real hard and weird. And that's the final shot. It kind of has a Eric Romer style ending.
So what is the moral of this story, do you think, Jarrett?
Make them laugh.
Interesting.
Make them laugh. I don't know. It's a comedy. Is there a moral? It doesn't say one moral tale. So you can't,
is that not the English translation? Solo means one. Cantu PAREJO means moral tales.
Do you know
one moral tale?
Do you know the title of this film in English as it was marketed as?
Yeah, one moral tale.
Love in the Time of Hysteria.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah. So, this guy, our Daniel Jimenez Cacho, he's got those, like, that Jerry Seinfeld, Paul Reiser vibe to him. He's even at one point rocking the shirt with the tie tucked into his jeans look. I think when he's going to kill himself. It was 1991 after all.
I mean, yeah. He gives off a vibe.
Yeah.
It's a definite vibe.
But yeah, I mean, the movie is like a movie. It
Sure.
seems like it's well made enough. The acting seems fine enough.
Sure.
But boy, oh boy, it's like not particularly funny at all. And the pacing of this, I felt, was like interminable. Like it felt so long at 94 minutes, which was strange. Because like, there'd be times where I wasn't like hating watching it or anything like that, but every time I'd look, how has it only been like 3 minutes? Like, I don't know. There was something off. This is his first feature film, I do believe, as well.
Yeah, it was. So it's a first film.
But yeah, I've seen some pretty good first films, and I don't know.
American Movie, that was their first film, right?
What's that?
Nothing.
Oh,
first films, nothing.
First films.
Yeah. What were you say?
I've seen some good first films, and this is definitely not one that I was super stoked about afterwards. It's kind of like, huh. But I did see Sean Baker on Letterboxd. He said that if he had seen this, if it had a proper release in 1991 in the U.S., it would have left the same impact on him as Reservoir Dogs, Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and other very strong debuts from that era.
Sean Baker said that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a big fan.
I'll add that to my notebook.
Yeah.
Of things Sean Baker says.
He says a lot of things. He also talks about lenses.
He says a lot of things.
Yeah. Auraflex.
Wow. Butterflex, I think, is one of the lenses he uses.
I think he might be here. So, anyways, big not recommend.
Okay.
I think to me this is like maybe for the Criterion completionist / Alfonso Cuaron completionist, which I don't even think it's necessary because I didn't really feel like there was anything that stood out to me that the stuff that people are into with his movies isn't really here. I mean, if this guy you think is going to be like your guy and one of your favorite filmmakers ever, then probably watch it. But I tried watching Great Expectations, the one with Ethan Hawke, and I didn't really care for that much at all.
Yeah.
I'm not as head over heels with that Prisoner of Azkaban as others. Children of Men, though, was pretty cool in theater. Yes. Gravity is a one-time view. Roma is hideously overrated.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's kind of... And I've never watched A Little Princess. So I'd say that now, on the whole, Alfonso Cuarón is just one of those guys who's... he's like a one-hit wonder for me.
I mean... I'm not far behind you. I think Children of Men is incredible, and I think Prisoner of Azkaban is really good.
When was the last time you watched Children of Men? Because I have only seen that movie, I think, just the one time in theater, and it left quite an impression because it was like, man, this is pretty cool. Very fun theatrical experience.
I mean, I've definitely watched it at home. Let's see if I have a date on this. Last time I watched it, November 2006. That can't be right. I wasn't on Letterboxd then. I don't know. It's been years since I've watched it, but I think Children of Men is incredible, and I think Prisoner of Azkaban is really good. I've never seen Gravity, and I thought Roma was also super overrated. So I'm not a Cuaron head, some people might be. You know what I mean, Jer? But I think I'm pretty much in line with you. Other than I also think Prisoner of Azkaban is pretty cool. What were you saying?
What did you think of this
this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I am not surprised that this movie doesn't have much of a trace online.
Yeah,
seems like people kind of like it though, or like or okay with it. I mean, it's not like awful, but I don't know. I feel like there should be like a level of operating. Maybe it's because like there's no stars in it that I cared too much for, and I didn't. I wasn't like I wasn't really won over by like I didn't find anybody particularly charismatic to carry things over. Yeah, nothing about the writing made me like go, oh, this is really clever, like interesting. It's just like, oh, it's the movie.
It's here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where I saw that thing, but like I'm pretty sure at one point this was in Mexico's top 10 Mexican films of all time or something.
At some point.
At some point. So maybe when it came out or something like that. But so yeah, I watched this a couple days ago, and I think this might be one of the worst movies we've seen in the 3 or 4 years that we've been doing this.
Like ever?
It's pretty bad, man. Is it bottom 5? It's not in the bottom 5, but it might be 6 out of bottom 5. I think this movie sucks. Like really, really bad. Like I don't know. So I don't. I saw a lot of people, and even you're kind of like, it's kind of well made. It kind of looks good. It's like it looks fine. It's okay, but I think the story sucks. I don't think this guy's likable at all. And like I know it's like maybe he's not supposed to be likable. It's like that's probably the case.
But I think they kind of want you to like him though. Even
though they do want you to like them. And so like one of the things too that I know is like we talk about this all the time. Comedy is hard because it gets dated very quickly. Like poor comedy, I think. Timeless comedy is good always. Like Dumb and Dumber, you could throw that on and you'd still have fun with it.
So I was, you know what? Another thing that came to mind when I read your review and what I assumed what that meant, but I was like, so is it? So I mean, imagine that it's because this character's unlikable, and RJ was going to imagine that we're supposed to be rooting for this guy. But I started thinking about this, and I was like, well, that's kind of the thing about the like Farley Brothers movies that we're both fans of. But like, if you break down what those movies are about, they're actually about like fairly like vile people.
Well, there's something about Mary is about stalkers, and you're supposed to root for the stalkers.
Yeah, and well, Dumb and Dumber is a movie about like a kidnapping.
Yes, yes, I'm aware.
And incompetent men that have done it. Kingpin's about like con artists,
deadbeat con artists.
Yeah, but there's like I guess they have like the movies are attempting like they're kind of doing this. Thing where they're we're gonna make these characters likable though, that you're gonna root for them.
They're successful though.
Yes, but so in this movie though, like they're not even trying to they're not trying to convince you that these characters are likable. I think it's more like about I think you are supposed to be kind of revolted by these characters, or that is a fair impression to have. Is like this is not a likable character. But I guess the question is like, does the movie do enough to like make you care to watch the rest of the movie rather than like root for the character? And sometimes those things aren't necessarily entwined, because even like last week we were watching Jigoku, and it's like not like any like that generic man's arc of I feel guilty that my friend or my doppelganger drove over that gangster guy, and now I gotta save a baby. And you're like, I don't give a fuck about any of these characters. I just want to see cool hill stuff. I don't know.
Well, see, I think that's the difference though, right? So like Jigoku, the characters, you're like, whatever, it's got super cool stuff and you're on board for that. And then like Fairly Brother movies, none of those characters are likable, but they make them likable, and they make the movies in a way that you do want to stick around for it. And maybe I don't know, maybe it's just because we are both from North America, and that kind of is more in line with how
RJ, I would like to point
up.
out that Mexico is also in North America.
I believe that's Central America.
Incorrect.
I believe that is Central America.
North America, baby.
We are from Canada, which is the most North America. So
America's in the middle of America, and then Mexico is South America.
You said Mexico is South America?
No, it's like Southern North America. Okay. Mexico is North America.
The southernmost point of North America.
Have you ever heard of a little bit of NAFTA?
You ever heard of a little place called Aspen? Okay. Well, anyways, what I mean is, I didn't grow up watching like Mexican produced movies.
We're a little too far north for that.
Yes,
even though we have a wonderful Mexican Mennonite community right outside our door.
We do, but they're not making movies up here.
No,
especially not things we see. We see things that are produced from Hollywood, baby. That's all we saw. So like, I think that's part of it too. It's like maybe I don't know. There's probably things that it's like, you know, if I grew up in Mexico, I would understand some of this stuff better. I get that. I probably but even with that, so like, I mean, we've watched movies from other cultures and countries too. That it's like I can see
we have.
Well, it's like sometimes when we watch French movies or Japanese movies, it's like I don't understand all of it, but I see the good in these things, or like I see like some of the. I see what they're doing in some of these like things, right? Jarrett just sent me something. Well, I don't know if this is for now or for later.
This is for later, but it can be said now. So amongst the people I follow, one of the people is a guy named Sean C. And it's mostly just he does not like this movie at all. He hated it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to show you his profile picture, and I'll be like,
yeah. Could you explain to the people there what his profile picture is?
I think it's going to be, if RJ and this chap are alike, it's going to be RJ's new look.
Yeah. Did you also see what his 4 favorite films are?
Or do you have an copy of your new attire coming in the mail?
It's in the mail. All right. It's in the email. If you know what I mean. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
What was I saying? Anyways, yeah, I mean, I know there's probably cultural stuff that's lost, but I do think it's funny you bring up Farrelly Brothers, because you're like, well, these characters aren't likable. It's like, yeah, well, other country movies that we've seen that have similar characters or things like that. It's like there's a lot of those where I've been drawn in other ways. I mean, I think the guy's unlikable, but I genuinely think this movie is bad. Like, I do. Like, does it look okay? Yeah, sure. It looks fine. Is it like, are all the actors fine?
When
I
say it looks fine, I mean, it looks like a, I don't know, international comedy. And it's like, it is competently shot. And like, I mean, in the most like, not even like a flattering way. It's like, this movie is professionally made.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's
yes, it is.
Which is not a compliment in itself. It's just like a statement.
Yeah, and even like the lead actor, he's clearly a very like prolific actor in like these other, because like when we were reading his credits, like he's in a lot of other really big movies. So like he must be well regarded in that sense, and he's fine too. Like all the actors are fine.
Oh hey, so the actress who plays Clarissa, she's in Dune, apparently, like David Lynch Dune.
Which one was Clarissa? The nurse, the boss,
or
the angel?
The angel.
The angel? Okay.
She is a Freeman girl, uncredited. Well, because the movie was probably shot. Because Dune, I think Dune was actually shot in Mexico in '84, right? So
that makes sense.
That makes
sense. Yeah. What was I saying? When I started this movie, and so you have like the sex scene, I was like, whatever. And then you see him running down the stairs. I was like, what is this movie going to be about? And then it gets into it. And like, I honestly, I was like, when did this movie come out? So I was like, even in 1991, I was like, was this funny? Like, I don't get it. Like all the AIDS stuff, like I know AIDS is like people make jokes about that too, but I was like, this is like a big picture about like that it's funny that this guy thinks he has AIDS, I guess. But then he can't.
Yeah, I mean, it comes pretty late in the movie though, because there's not even like a period where like there's like jokes about it, other than like, it's pretty funny this guy's going through that right now.
There's that, and then
the other characters think that, who are like not supposed to be unlikable, but they're kind of like, this guy deserves it, and you're like, that's really funny, and it's like, you're like, okay, that's this film universe that I don't know if I really want to participate in.
Yeah, there's that, and then I'm with you where the scene where he's kind of doing the switcheroo stuff with both of the girls, it feels like that's the entire movie. Like that scene's probably 8-10 minutes long or something like that, but honestly it feels like 30 or 40 minutes. You're like, this is going on forever, and you're just kind of like, to what end? Like, what is like, what is the point of this?
What end?
And that's what I thought. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was just like, to what end? I was like, what are we gonna get out of this in any way? And then honestly, like after that, I was so detached from it.
I'm gonna try to time this thing out. I'm skimming it. You keep talking.
Yeah,
I'll tell you how long this shit goes for.
It feels like an eternity. And my guess is 8 to 10 minutes, but it feels like forever.
Oh shit, we forgot about. There's the scene like kind of like what 9 minutes in the movie where he goes to a wedding. He's invited to the wedding by the doctor and her friend, and he's balling the bride behind the back of the which is where a screenshot about cuckolds comes in, and they're like, "Oh, you're such a piece of shit. Why do we bring you places?" Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. He's like, he's so insatiable. He can't help himself. And I'm like, all right. It's like, okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't know why this movie struck so low for me, but it was like the scene with him bouncing around the ladies. Like after that, I was so detached from it. Like I watched the whole thing. I wasn't on my phone or anything like that. I watched it, but I was like, so uninterested in everything that came after. There's like,
so from when like the women are coming over to see him to when the doctor and his wife come back home, it is 20 minutes, about almost 20.
That's way more than I thought it was, but like that makes sense because it feels like a solid half an hour. Well, and it almost is.
And then from that point on, that's when like about a few minutes later she's giving the diagnosis. Oh yeah, there's these intertitles with the pretentious allusions to things.
Yeah.
And then they go for lunch with the Japanese doctors, and then there's him running up the stairs, him falling into the tub that he realizes he gave shit to the people. He gets really drunk with the Japanese guys, takes him to the wrong hotel. Then he has there's the fantasy scene where he's dreaming he's on the plane and there's the luchador guy. That was cool. And then there's a scene where he's really depressed because he's really hungover. And then I think at this point he is about to he gets the letter, and that's pretty well the last like 35 minutes of the movie is from like when he gets the note and he starts thinking about killing himself, and then that's the structure of the movie. Not a lot to write home about.
Yep.
But I am surprised that you would rank it so low, because I feel like we've watched some bad stuff. We've watched a fair share of like completely like just horrendous movies, and there you're like, oh, I don't want to be watching this. Whereas like I don't think this movie's like even like interestingly bad or boring. It's just kind of like, oh, that's a movie, all right. And it's like, I think that's what it is. Yeah, this one's like, oh, I'll look it up. You continue. There's a movie that actually reminds me a bit about. It's like that Torchon du Court or whatever it is. It feels like that movie actually.
Coupe de Torchon.
Yeah, that's where I would firmly place that on that tier.
See, that's still pretty low. That's in the bottom 30, but or of my list at least. But I don't know what it is. It's like we've definitely watched fouler stuff than this. There's nothing like that foul about it. Like even like this guy, like the things it's doing, it's like I know it's just played for comedy, but I I think I didn't even realize it before, but when you brought up like Fairley Brothers and stuff, I was like, those characters are also unlikable, but I'm still interested in it. And it's like we've watched movies where it's like these people aren't the best people, but like let's say Vagabond.
What if they remade this with Jason Segel?
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't think I would watch it. If they made it. They remade it with Ed Helms, I would be like, that's the worst fucking piece of shit movie I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, no one wants to watch that movie.
Well, yeah, but Jason Segel...
When was the last time people talked about Ed Helms?
Right now, baby, I'm talking about... Who's an insatiable actor, though? Who's someone that you would cast as, like, this guy can't stop boning? Because that's who...
Well, I could think of one that would be that would fit right into this... Oh, you know who's going to remake this shot for shot? Starring themselves? James Franco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. Like, I don't mind James Franco, like his movies at least. But if he did this and he was in it, I still wouldn't like it. I'd be like, I don't like this guy. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not a bottom 5 movie for me. But it's like this is pretty low for me. Like I was watching this and I was just like, I don't.
How does this measure up with Elena and her men?
I think it's lower than that.
Yeah, I'd watch this any day of the week over that.
Over Elena and her men?
Yeah.
I mean, that movie had carriages.
No, that would be that's another movie.
That's the other one of those trilogies?
I believe it's called The Golden Carriage. Or The Golden Coach, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Where did that movie fall on our list? I don't know, man. Like, this movie...
So the worst of Renoir is far more... Oh, what about, though, How to Get Ahead in Advertising?
Oh, this is worse than that.
What?
Yeah, this is worse than that for sure.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, this is worse than that.
What about Shitsopolis?
That's hard to say. So I'm in a weird place in my list because my list is bad, as we've mentioned, because the total list isn't the effective way to do this. But like I have like Shitsopolis, and then I have like the Romer picks, and then I have this, and it's like, well, this might be better than the Romers, but maybe it's not. But it's probably not as good as Shitsopolis. And then it's like
it's probably not as good,
or it's probably I don't know. Maybe it's better than Shitsopolis.
I am really looking forward to next week, my friend. Oh boy.
I don't even know what next week is, but yeah, I mean, I'm also surprised at my dislike of this, but I mean, it's not a passionate thing. I don't care if someone else likes Solo Con to PAREJO, but I was watching this and I was like, this
stinks.
This doesn't need to exist, which is a lot of these movies. But I was like, I wish I hadn't watched this movie. Is how I felt afterwards. I was like, that was a waste of my time. I said that was a waste of 90 minutes of my time.
I just saw it. So I'm looking at my my 301 to 400 ranking, which we're only halfway, and that's real feel bad right there. Yeah. But I was like, what is a New Some More? And I went, oh yeah, that movie.
Ines Amore.
And yeah, I forgot all about it. I would say that this is maybe right now somewhere between Mr. Arkadin and Tales of Hoffman for me.
Okay.
But I mean, it's my man. I don't think that anything we've watched has been particularly good, and I'd say that the my lowest rated like good movie probably is like The Samurai or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. The Samurai is not bad, but it's low on my list because it's just where it ended up being. But it's funny you mentioned Anus Amor. Because currently I'm moving Solo Con to PAREJO around, and it's right beside Anus Amor.
Nice.
On my list. It's sandwiched in between Anus Amor and Nanook of the North.
Oh, wow, that's real low.
I mean, I'm not kidding. This isn't bottom 20 for me. I thought it was shit. Shit. But, oh well, whatever. You can't win them all, right? They can't all be winners.
But it would be nice if some of the more were. Like, right now...
I mean, last week was really good. Jigoku was really good.
Okay. So I'm looking at this. So my list right now, This is like halfway. This is a check-in point, we could say. So
Yeah.
I think that the lowest rated movie that I think would be like, oh, this is actually a really good movie is like Au revoir Alfonso. I think that
Yeah.
movie is like really good. And then above that I have Pickpocket, which I do still really like. Jigoku. And the one that is like probably wild for a lot of people would be Metropolitan, but that was because of my rewatch. I think the movie, like, I totally turned around on that. Coco, Harlan County, USA, Samurai Rebellion, Virgin Spring, and my number one right now, and I think it's going to be pretty much impossible to top with this block, is Harikiri.
Oh, see, that feels like an eternity ago.
It was like it was like half a year ago, right?
That feels like so long ago, because that movie was so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. And like we had a really dry run, but like Jigoku I thought was really good. And Metropolitan wasn't huge for me, but I was like, whatever. But yeah, I too am surprised by this. Shit. It's shit, man. Shit, man. But, oh well. As I said, you can't win them all.
Well, let's find out who's on Team RJ this week.
Sure. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see here. Somehow the window closed on its own, so I gotta.
I wouldn't do
again.
that.
I don't know how that happened. I mean, I didn't really have notes. Like, I actually was pretty good at recalling the whole movie because there's really not much to talk about. It's a comedy.
You're a fan.
Screwball.
Yep.
It's a modern day screwball. RJ doesn't like those balls.
Nope.
They're too hairy. Who hates? How about auteur? Much like
oh.
RJ. We've heard from auteur before.
We've heard from auteur before.
Half a star. The over direction here is exhausting. A sobering support of Cuaron detractors and one of the worst sex comedies ever made. I never imagined AIDS could be so funny. I think they mean to say that sarcastically.
Yes. The one thing I'll give auteur is their profile picture is Mr. Jackpox. Mr. Jackpots. Dougie from Twin Peaks: The Return.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Jack. What is that word? Jackpots? Yeah, Jackpots. Dougie.
Dougie.
Mr. Jackpots.
I know Dougie.
Dougie. Yeah, Dougie. I love Dougie.
How about Evan Schweer?
Schweer? Okay.
Half a star. Assuming this was ever celebrated or liked, it hasn't aged well at all. Everything from the plot to the editing to the sound mixing is grating. I don't know about that. The first time I paused, praying it was almost over, I was still less than halfway through. It's like an off-brand, unfunny knockoff of Three's Company, but it's somehow even worse than that sounds. Cuaron brings a distinct voice and mastery to his other work, so it's surprising just how poor this is. At its best, it's unentertaining, lurid slapstick. At its worst and most frequent, it's deeply problematic with nothing real to say. Oh.
I mean, I don't know about that, but
the doctor wearing a fetus hat, laughing off severe malpractice and suicide feels like a pretty apt metaphor for anyone who saw this and had a hand in its release. Oh, got him.
I mean, this person 5-starred a lot of good movies, but they also 5-starred Hamilton, which I haven't seen Hamilton. I have nothing against Hamilton, but I feel like people who 5-star it are like, I don't know. I feel like they're lying. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
But this person also 1.5-starred Hubie Halloween, and that's not a 1.5. That's a 3-star film all day long.
Sure it is.
You're gonna watch Hubie Halloween this Creeptober. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, it'll be one of the best.
I guarantee it's better than Hamilton.
But do you guarantee it's better than Solo con tu pareja?
Hubie Halloween? Yeah, I absolutely guarantee it.
I'm sure it is.
I absolutely guarantee it.
Issa, 1 star.
Oh yeah, I see Issa.
Pretty funny, not that good pacing.
I mean, Issa's onto something, man.
Pretty funny?
Oh no, just the pacing. They just 2.5-starred Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, that Mormon thing I watched.
Oh.
What was their review? If you put like 46 Neanderthals in a room of typewriters, they're eventually going to type up the Mormon sex trafficking industrial complex. What? I don't understand that at all.
So, yeah.
They have started Lost in Translation recently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand this person. I don't get these reviews, man.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Let's take a look at someone who loved this movie for the sake of fair and balanced reporting.
Sure.
Let me find one here. So RJ is going to order this for the collection. His collection. That's surprising.
Yeah, I already got 2 copies coming.
The most recent 5-star review for this film is someone just literally using a quote from the film that they 5-starred about committing suicide using the microwave. A lot of film looks like it's in Spanish.
It is.
So a lot
Use
of people
Google Translate.
No, I'm good. Fantastic and hilarious. One of the strongest debuts I've seen. I love how it stands on a very thin line between comedy and melodrama.
Melodrama? Oh, I guess. This person...
what about this now? Turbotron. This movie was hilarious. It has big Larry David energy, even though somewhat predictable. The tension and anxiety it causes in its extreme absurdity is the sharp edge on the blade of its comedy. The technical aspects of this film are incredible too. I don't know what I was expecting, but this film is an absolute party.
Jarrett, do you agree with Turbotron?
Wait, with this review?
Yeah, just in general.
I don't know if it just sounds like a joke to me.
Turbotron's favorite films are The Seventh Seal, Battle of Algiers, Rebels of a Neon God, and Mad Max: Fury Road.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, some of those are pretty good.
Yeah. Turbotron. It's good stuff.
There you go. Both sides.
Yeah, we covered it all. We got him.
Fantastic. Any final thoughts on Solo con tu pareja?
Solo con tu PAREJO is not a movie that I like.
There you go.
So there it is.
RJ's favorite film of the last 6 years.
I know a lot of YouTube people are gonna make a lot of comments, but I don't care.
I think next week is our 6th year anniversary, maybe.
Next week?
Yeah.
Good time to pull the pin.
Yeah, true. Maybe this movie's not findable either, but I think Criterion Channel is going to come to the rescue.
Let me check. I think this is on the channel.
Oh, fantastic. Well,
let me check.
After the break,
yes,
RJ is going to jail because he's a sex pest. Quit it showing me that, RJ. Nobody wants to see that. Stop it.
You can't stop